In one client matter we dealt with, we had a client who'd built up a family business. We're not talking huge amounts of money, a few $1 million worth of business, but it was everything the client had. It was his life, it was his passion. He did some business with companies overseas and had a deal that went wrong. A large company in another country sued his business in that country, claiming that they'd breached the contract. The client was very scared that they would try and domesticate that judgment in the US where the client lived, and also that they'd try and expand it so that it wasn't just against his company, but that it was against him personally. And he was wanting to, protect the assets that he'd built up from this family business and from his life's work. So he came to us. So what this client needed to do was find a way of protecting their assets in case the court ruled that the creditor, that the other side who had the judgment in the other country was able to access his personal assets. So we worked with this client and an attorney to set a plan up and look at how we could do that through the use of a Cook Islands trust. So one of the challenges we encountered in this situation was that there were already enforcement proceedings happening in the US. So we had to tread carefully, make sure that what we were doing was not a fraudulent transfer that would put him potentially in contempt of court. So the result of this one in the end was that as part of the enforcement action, the creditor did try and attack the client's personal assets. News of the trust came out in the court proceedings. At one stage, the client was ordered to bring the funds back. This was a request the trustee refused to honour. We knew that the client was under duress and that it would not be a good idea for the trustee to return those funds. It would defeat the object for which the trust was set up in the first place. In the end, there was more enforcement against the company. The client's personal assets were protected by the trust, and the creditor was unable to touch the client's personal assets. The trust achieved what it was meant to. He got his life's work, the proceeds of everything he'd done with this business he built up. He got protection for that from setting up a trust with Southpac. This client has been in touch subsequently and told us that, without Southpac's involvement and without setting up the trust, he and his family would have lost everything. He said his assets are now fully protected within the structure we set up for him, and he's eternally grateful for that. And that's what happened here. It was a real success story that we can look back on and say with pride that we helped this client protect their assets. So when you're looking to set up an asset protection trust, the best time to do this is before anything happens, before anything has turned up on the horizon, before those storm clouds are gathering. Taking the precautionary approach is the safest and most guaranteed route to success. But yeah, we can get some great results in other situations too.